Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here we are to review week number 5 of the virtual 2007 season. As you can see, the Rams beat the Cardinals 23-10. But it started off well for Arizona, yet again. Edgerrin James with a 6-yard touchdown run. Then Jeff Wilkins kicks a 53-yard field goal. But then Mark Bulger finds Drew Bennett for a touchdown. Spreading the love a little bit instead of his normal targets of Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. Neil Records kicks a field goal in the third quarter to tie things up at 10, but that'll be the last time Arizona's going to get close to scoring. Jeff Wilkins brings the lead back up to 3 with a 42-yard field goal. Then McMichael gets a 15-yard touchdown pass from Bulger. And then Jeff Wilkins kicks one last field goal from 28 yards out to more or less seal the deal. And yeah, 371 yards of total offense from Arizona. Well, from St. Louis, I mean. And I just love how the CPU and the Sims are so aggressive on fourth down. Because you got Arizona being 2 for 3, St. Louis being 1 of 2. But honestly, Arizona should have gone for it a couple more times because they were 3 for 14 on third downs. And the thing is, Arizona got 3 interceptions, so they had themselves in some good positions to be able to actually do something. It's just, kind of hard to do anything when you're behind. Falcons Titans. Let's see, final score 255-0. A lot of light blue. Although I will say this, playing this game, that freaking Michael Vick was tough to tackle. Actually, because he would always want to scramble. I mean, when you throw 12 interceptions on 48 attempts, it makes sense to try to run a little bit. Yeah, you see 11 attempts, 31 yards. Just tough to take down. Now, Panthers and Saints, this one was a really close one, and I'm kind of glad it was. Especially with this being an NFC South game to help determine who's going to be the division champ here. And we start off with a 1-yard run by Reggie Bush. Then John Casey kicks a 44-yard field goal to make the score 7-3 in favor of New Orleans. Then David Carr finds Steve Smith for 6 yards to take the lead 10-7. Brad Hoover gets a touchdown pass from David Carr to make it 17-7. And then Drew Brees with his first touchdown pass of the year finds Reggie Bush for 3 yards. But 25 seconds left, they couldn't recover their onside kick. Or maybe they did, but they just couldn't score. And that ended up being the game. Which is funny, because New Orleans outgained Carolina 301-222. And they're even able to get a better conversion in the red zone. I think the biggest problem, though, was all the rushing yards that Carolina had, especially compared to their passing yards. A nice 69 passing yards for a victory. So, yeah. It's easy to kill clock when you have the lead. As you see there, last scoring drive for Carolina, 6.5 minutes. Drive before that, when they scored almost 8 minutes, 6-minute drive on the field goal. So yeah, Carolina, they're just focusing on running that ball through D'Angelo Williams, through Brad Hoover, and they just go on and dominate the Saints on the ground, but win a close one. We can't wait to see that rematch in Carolina whenever that happens. But meanwhile, we got the Browns and the Patriots. And Patriots disposed of the Browns pretty early. pretty well. But it didn't start off that way. It looked like the Browns were actually going to win this game on the first quarter. Brady Quinn finding Duravicius for a 13-yard touchdown pass. But then New England started doing their thing. Steven Gostkowski, 29-yard field goal. Then a 39-yard field goal. Only down by one. Gostkowski gets one more field goal to make it 9-7. Then Brady finds Jackson for 33 yards out and gets a 2-point conversion to make it 16 to... Yes. No, make it 17-7. And then Lawrence Maroney with 11 seconds left punches in for one more touchdown to make the final score 24-7 in favor of New England. And yeah, New England just dominated. Got Cleveland to 151 total yards. Only one red zone attempt. 74 yards on the ground. 77 through the air. But no picks. But 5 sacks on Brady Quinn. I mean, Brady Quinn is a rookie, so... Yeah, he was able to go 10 for 21, 120 yards. It's just New England stuff to beat, man. You know? Redskins and Lions. Redskins just started to go off in this game. And Detroit just couldn't motor through, you know? Clinton Portis was a 63-yard touchdown run, followed by a Hanson 44-yard field goal. Then Clinton Portis gets a 7-yard touchdown pass from Jason Campbell. Hanson gets another field goal. All the while you're kicking field goals when you're already down by 11 at this point, to be down by 8. I don't know, that's a little questionable right there. Especially when Clinton Portis comes back through and scores another touchdown to put them up by a score of 21-6. John Kidna throws to current Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell for a 3-yard touchdown pass, as to cut the lead to 21-13. And Dan Campbell, he was probably going after a few kneecaps in that game too. But Shuzham kicks a 32-yard field goal, makes it 24-13. And then Jason Campbell finds Brandon Lloyd for one last dagger to make the final score 31-13 in favor of Washington. But both teams did pretty well offensively, over 300 yards both sides. And hey, at least Detroit converted a fourth down this time, unlike what they did against the Eagles the past Sunday Night Football. It's just Washington was able to get that run game going. I can see that huge discrepancy, 240-90. Now granted, Detroit did get 229 passing yards to Washington's 111. But when you got a lead, it's safe just to run the ball, kill clock. Next we have the Jaguars and the Chiefs, which this is probably one of the most baffling wins of the week. Because the Chiefs start off well. Trent Green finds Dunn for a 4-yard touchdown pass. And then Medlock kicks a 22-yard field goal. Then Josh Scobie kicks a 30-yard field goal. David Garrard finds Williams for a 2-yard touchdown pass to tie the game up at 10. And then Josh Scobie, with 9 minutes left in the game, kicks a 36-yard field goal, and that's all the scoring. But you see, Kansas City did more offensively, 333 yards to 258. Doubled their first downs. And a lot more third down conversions. Even got a fourth down conversion when Jacksonville wasn't going for any. But I think the biggest thing was they failed on 2 red zone opportunities. That's what probably killed them. And thing is, though, like, we scroll down here. Kansas City had 4 penalties for 25 yards. Meanwhile, Jacksonville had 13 penalties for 105 yards and 24 minutes of possession, but somehow pulled the rabbit out of the hat and won in Arrowhead. And as you see, probably one reason why is because Trent Green had gotten injured and they had to rely on Damon Huard, which, if you're a Kansas City fan, please tell me how he actually was, because he was pretty average in this game. But yeah, Trent Green was already upset enough as is. Losing 2 games in a row, that's not going to help things out. And then we have the Dolphins and the Texans. The Dolphins, who the previous week had just lost one of their right tackles after losing their star running back. Let's see how they do this week. Starts off with Chris Brown kicking a 39-yard field goal. Then you have Jay Feely matching the field goal. Then you have Chambers getting a 54-yard touchdown pass from Dante Culpepper. And then you have Matt Schaub finding who else but Andre Davis for a 33-yard touchdown pass. Now at this point the score is 10-all. Then Jay Feely kicks 2 field goals. One from 29 yards out and one from 32 yards out. So now the score is 16-10 going into halftime. Culpepper finds Chambers again, this time from 32 yards out. They go for 2 and fail. And I'm pretty sure that's what caused the momentum shift, because Matt Schaub finds Mathis from 32 yards out. They get the extra point. And then he finds Mathis again, this time from 43 yards out, with 37 seconds left in the game, and go for 2, and they succeed. Final score 25-22, and yeah. Houston didn't even get a red zone attempt. That's baffling. I mean, Miami's doing well rushing the ball even without Ronnie Brown, but it's just a little baffling seeing how some of these teams are winning and losing just based off of performances, But Texans win, which if they're trying to tank, they're not doing a good job at it. To win the tank bowls, you have to lose to win. Like what the Giants did here against the Jets. And Thomas Jones, if you remember from the injury report video, was once again listed as probable as a strained knee. Are we sure his knee is strained? Excuse me right there. But Mike Nugent kicks a 32-yard field goal to put the Jets up 10-0. Thomas Jones gets that 1-yard touchdown run. Lawrence Tynes kicks a 27-yard field goal for the Giants. But then Mike Nugent answers back to keep the lead at 10. Then Thomas Jones begin the second half in the third quarter. Gets it out from 2 yards out. Then Eli finds Plaxico Burress for a 2-yard touchdown pass. Still only down by a couple scores. You get good enough momentum, you could probably change the sway of the game. And Thomas Jones runs it in from 3 yards out. Dagger. And Giants couldn't do anything from 11:28 left in the quarter on down. Funny, both teams got same number of first downs. I mean, they both share the stadium, so kind of convenient on that. But yeah, for Thomas Jones, 41 attempts on 161 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a strained knee, Madden. Alley's not anymore. I mean, yeah, sure, he almost matched the entirety of the passing yards. I mean, the defense also came up with 2 picks as well. And for the Seahawks and the Steelers, the Seahawks go into Heinz Field and make a mockery of that defense on the road. But start off with a Reed 22-yard field goal. But then Marcus Pollard gets a 40-yard touchdown pass from Matt Hasselbeck. Brown kicks a 26-yard field goal and a drive that took up almost 6 minutes of clock. Then Ingram gets a 20-yard pass from Matt Hasselbeck. But Ben Roethlisberger finds Justin Gage for a 1-yard touchdown pass just before the half. Reed kicks another field goal. Now the score is 16-17. Reed kicks a field goal. They go up. Score is 10-17 after the first Reed field goal. Then it's 16-17 after the field goal in the fourth quarter. And Sean Alexander just basically iced the game for Seattle. But then Herndon gets a 22-yard pick six to fully seal the game. And yeah, Seattle holds Pittsburgh's offense to under 300 yards. Got to pick off with Big Ben. That's always helpful, And yeah, Seattle remains undefeated. Indianapolis and Tampa Bay. If you were to tell me this was a tank bowl at the beginning, I wouldn't really have thought of that. I mean, Tampa Bay, they're always a little confusing on what direction they want to go in these sims. But Indianapolis, normally they do real well because of Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark. You still got Bob Sanders, Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney. It's a great team. I don't see how they were this bad, I mean, start off with Peyton Manning getting a 15-yard touchdown pass from Marvin Harrison. Although a drive that takes nearly 3 minutes. That's a little surprising for me. Because I was expecting that drive to be probably closer to the 5.5 minute range. Under 3 minute range. But then Chris Sims finds Stevens for a 1-yard touchdown pass. Then Adam Vinatieri, in a much more reasonable drive here, has Indy killing almost 8 minutes of clock for the 48-yard field goal. Matt Bryan kicks a field goal of his own, and the game is tied at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And then Michael Pittman scores from 1 yard out with 2 minutes left. And Peyton could not lead a fourth quarter comeback here. I mean, this was just a defensive fest, which is crazy considering it was inside the RCA Dome. No weather could affect this. It's just Tampa Bay's defense decided, hey, we're still good. And just played very well. Getting a pick on Peyton. Sacking him a few times as well. And they killed the clock. Ravens at 49ers. This is before the Harbaugh Bowl. Back when probably both of them were still coaching college in real life. But the 49ers just choose to make a mockery of Baltimore in that defense. That's supposed to be elite. You still got Terrell Suggs, you got Chris McAllister, you got Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. You have stars on that defense. And San Francisco just did not care. Joe Nidney, 41-yard field goal, followed by a Frank Gore 1-yard touchdown run. But Matt Stover answers with a 55-yard field goal. But Alex Smith finds Frank Gore for 2 yards out for another touchdown. And Joe Nene kicks a field goal to have San Francisco up 20-3. Steve McNair finds Todd Heap from 5 yards out to make it 20-10. Willis McGahee brings it closer with a 5-yard touchdown run. Well, a 15-yard touchdown run, my bad. For score now to be 20-17. Alex Smith finds Jackson from 3 yards out to make it 27-17. And Joe Nedney put Dagger in from 25 yards out. Yeah, 433 yards of total offense by San Francisco. They made Baltimore's defense look silly. And that's all I can say is Baltimore's defense wasn't at the elite level they're supposed to be at. The Chargers and the Broncos, yeah, this got pretty ugly pretty fast. Didn't start off that way though. Philip Rivers finds LT for a 10-yard touchdown pass. Travis Henry answers back with a 70-yard touchdown run. And then Jay Cutler finds Rod Smith from 21 yards out. Nate Kading kicks a 50-yard field goal. But that field goal is the last score that will be seen by San Diego, because Jay Cutler finds Walker for 54 yards out just before the 2-minute warning. Johnson with a 1-yard touchdown run. Then Travis Henry with another touchdown run, this time from 1 yard out. And Jake Elam decides to put the last few nails in the coffin, if there weren't already enough nails in the coffin as is, with a 31-yard field goal and a 42-yard field goal. I mean, offensively, San Diego's doing well moving the ball. They even got more first downs than Denver. It's just the third down conversions. And the fourth down conversions, too, because Denver converted 3 of 4. San Diego only converted 1. Don't know that Philip Rivers threw 2 interceptions either, so there's that. Now, Sunday Night Football. The Bears against the Packers. Brett Favre, he finds Donald Driver again, 40 yards out, takes the lead. Robbie Gould kicks a field goal from 45 yards out to end the quarter. Okay, everything's pretty cool. And then Robbie Gould kicks another field goal from 25 yards out. 2.5 minutes left. Okay, you're down by 1 now. And then Lance Briggs gets a 39-yard pick 6 off of Brett Favre to completely shift the momentum around, basically. And Robbie Gould gets another opportunity to kick a field goal. But right after the field goal, Blackman returns it 96 yards for a kick return touchdown. So we're going into this half with the score being 16-7, 16-14, and 20 points scored in 2.5 game minutes. Like, that's crazy to think about right there. Then Brett Favre finds who else but Donald Driver. That's probably their 8th touchdown pairing over these last 3 games. But then, 5.5 minutes left. Cedric Benson, 1 yard out. They try to go to 2 for 2 to make it a field goal game. Fail. But still able to hold on to a 22-21 victory. And that pick 6 is probably what done it in. 3 interceptions by Brett Favre. And that's the thing, 13 of 25, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's not the performance you need to have. they needed the performance of the last few games. And Monday Night Football it could have been billed as a tank bowl, but it could have also been billed as a massacre. Because Dallas came into Ralph Wilson Stadium and just shot the Buffalo Bills' potential playoff hopes down the drain. Specifically off the back of Julius Jones, a 7-yard touchdown run, and then a 2-yard touchdown run to go up 14-0. But then Craig Nall, and if you remember from the previous episode, J.P. Lossman's injured, so Craig Nall is starting. He finds Peerless Price from 1 yard out, so it's now 14-7. Julius Jones apparently thinks the Buffalo Bills owe him money, because that's his third touchdown run, this time from 4 yards out. Ryan Lindell kicks a 45-yard field goal. Tony Romo finds Terrell Owens for a 67-yard touchdown pass. And in the first quarter, somehow their punter, Stephen Watkins, makes a 23-yard field goal. Now I say somehow because I don't know what happened to Martin Gramatica. The game was simulated, so he might have pulled a hamstring, but we'll look at that in the injury report episode. And Ryan Lindell, 37-yard field goal. Just kind of, you're like, hey, one last score. Yeah, I mean, you look at some of these stats, it was kind of a sloppy game overall. Especially for Buffalo, 9 penalties, 64 yards. Yeah, I mean, Craig Nall, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. I mean, it's helping out the tank. It's helping out the tank for Buffalo. But that is it for week number 5. And the team that had the bye weeks this week were the Bengals, the Vikings, the Raiders, and the Eagles. So that is it for this week's episode, and I will see you all next time.